False witness, recordings expose family court report writer investigated by medical regulator. A family court psychologist in Australia is the subject of an investigation by the medical regulator, after recordings revealed the doctor's controversial practices. The psychologist, who is anonymous under Australian law, often writes reports for the court on child custody arrangements, with her recommendations being influential in sensitive parenting disputes. Recordings show the expert witness belittling patients, conducting traumatic therapy sessions in public places such as parks and shopping centres, and dismissing evidence of family violence. The psychologist had previously been the subject of a complaint but continues to practice, prompting criticism from legal practitioners. Title: This Family Road tested a financial advisor's top tips for saving money. Here's what worked and what didn't. Brisbane's D'Souza family tried out financial advisor Olivia Marana's 8 best tips for families trying to save money in the face of rising bills. The family, like many others, has been significantly affected by increasing prices of groceries, utilities and insurance premiums. The tips the family tried included shopping for groceries online, switching to vegetarian meals, taking advantage of company discounts and comparing insurance and utility providers. Some methods worked, but some did not. The family managed to save $260 per month on groceries alone, but found going vegetarian not to their liking. Wallaby meat goes from pet food to fine food thanks to Tasmanian couple's 30-year effort. For 3 decades, John and Katrina Kelly have been selling wallaby meat in Tasmania. Despite the initial public perception of the meat as pet food, their persistence has helped change attitudes towards it. The couple's Launceston-based company, Lennar Game Meats, sells wallaby meat and venison. They spent the first 10 years giving out taste samples to people at food events, and eventually, the public began to accept and appreciate the meat. Wallabies are culled in Tasmania every year due to the damage they cause to farms. The Kellys' business helps prevent waste and provides a sustainable food option. Title: Can inflation be curbed without raising interest rates? Experts weigh in. Inflation has been on the rise, leading to the Reserve Bank raising interest rates to curb it. However, experts suggest alternative approaches to tackle inflation without relying solely on interest rate hikes. These include price caps on essential items such as gas and energy bills, among others. While these options may take longer to have an impact, they are less economically painful for people with mortgages and loans. However, implementing such changes may come at a political cost, as they require new laws. It remains to be seen if the federal government will explore these options further. Title: Man with disabilities struggles to find in-home care after fall. After a fall at his home, Craig Gatford was left stranded for over 6 hours before being taken to the hospital. The 56-year-old, who has cirrhosis and chronic kidney disease, spent 2 weeks there and realized he needed in-home care. However, his search for a provider in Gundagai, southern New South Wales, was slow and confusing, taking 4 weeks to finally find the right service. Experts have agreed that finding the right service is a common struggle for people with disabilities, particularly in rural areas. Mr. Gatford urges the industry to give clearer information about in-home care options. It's not rocket science, but working as a ringer is no Yellowstone. Here's what you need to know. Thanks to social media, a younger generation is showing interest in working as ringers, but many are struggling to bridge the gap between enthusiasm and practical skill. Graziers in North Queensland and the Northern Territory are finding it challenging to attract skilled labour, despite the demand for workers. While it might seem like a glamorous life of mustering cattle in wide-open paddocks, the reality is quite different. It is a dangerous job that requires hard work, dedication, and cattle handling skills. Experienced graziers advise that it is not a job for everyone. Renewed calls for improved workplace safety as resources industry grapples with spate of deaths. The Western Australian resources industry is facing renewed pressure to improve workplace safety after 5 workers died on work sites since October. Sharon Westerman, whose son was killed on a Pilbara mine site 7 years ago, has called for better safety measures, stating that deaths can happen no matter how careful a worker is or what systems are in place. 4 of the 5 people who died were contractors, and experts have highlighted that the chain of command can be complex when contractors are employed, making them reluctant to raise safety concerns. The industry is facing a significant jobs and skills shortage, leading to inexperienced contractors being hired. Investigations into the recent fatalities are underway. Safety industry. Title: Homeowners fight unscrupulous fee hikes at residential park with tribunal. Residents at Kincumber Nautical Village in New South Wales, Australia, are fighting against unfair site fee increases. Homeowner Alan Teal, 72, has said that the rising cost of living and increased site fees meant he could not afford to turn on his heater. The owner of the residential park has raised fees for those on a notice method by almost $53 a fortnight. Over 130 residents have signed an application to fight the increases at the New South Wales Civil and Administrative Tribunal, with some calling for the owner to be more transparent about where the extra funding will be spent. Title: Perth Aged Care Facility hosts intergenerational program with children. An aged care facility in Perth has launched an intergenerational program that offers weekly interactions between elderly residents and children. Queensleigh, a branch of the Oryx Communities, hosts the program, which lasts for 6 weeks and involves around 7 neighbours with 14 children. The Nala Early Learning and Development Service is located on site, allowing for easy visits and daily interaction between the 2 generations. The program aims to foster meaningful relationships between the elderly and children and improve their overall well-being. Participants have reported positive outcomes, including an invigorated and happier disposition. Title: Teacher shortage leads to unruly behaviour among students. Due to the shortage of teachers, students in Dubbo, New South Wales, have been left in minimal supervision classes, leading to boredom and unruly behaviour, including violence and abuse towards staff. The town currently has 56 teaching vacancies, up from 44 last year, despite offering a salary of $134,000 per year plus a $20,000 recruitment bonus and up to $8,000 of relocation cost assistance. The New South Wales Teachers Federation seeks to enhance the workforce by making it less casual and hiring more permanent teachers to fill the current vacancies. The government's $14 million Recruitment Beyond New South Wales project has been a failure, with only 13 teachers recruited in 2 years. As e-scooter tech rapidly advances, this capital city is reviewing the role they play in transport. The city of Darwin wants e-scooters to be ridden in bike paths and on roads, instead of on footpaths, as the council looks to ensure the devices play a key part in Darwin's transport scene into the future. The council has asked providers to put forward proposals to operate e-scooters in Darwin for the next 2 years. City of Darwin Innovation General Manager Alice Percy said the council would be reviewing the safety and enforcement features available to improve e-scooter safety and experiences throughout Darwin. The council also wants to improve infrastructure, adding more bike lines, electric charging stations, and e-scooter parking spots across the city. Title: Unprecedented slug numbers in southern Australian crops. Farmers in South Australia, Victoria, and southern New South Wales have been grappling with the worst slug numbers ever seen in crops, causing significant damage. Slug populations have increased due to a parting gift from the Triple La Nina event, which led to wet spring seasons. The pests have moved to new areas, causing problems for farmers, especially those who have never encountered slugs before. Despite farmers' efforts to use bait to manage the pests, crop losses remain a significant problem. Experts believe that the recent increase in slug numbers is unprecedented, making it difficult for farmers to manage the pest infestation. Drink driving offences rise in Queensland, thousands ordered to fit interlocks under new rules. Over 16,000 drink driving offences were committed in Queensland in 2022, with more than 880 motorists caught drink driving more than once, according to the Department of Transport and Main Roads (TMR). As a result, thousands of mid-range offenders have been ordered to fit ignition interlocks on their vehicles under new state government rules. The interlocks require drivers to give a breath sample in order to start the vehicle and additional breath tests at random intervals during journeys. The state's expanded interlock policy has been praised by experts. Transport Minister Mark Bailey said the goal was 0 road deaths and serious injuries by 2050. Green light for transformational renewables project luring big business, former locals to work in Outback. Barcaldine, a small town in Queensland, is set to become a hub of zero-emissions businesses thanks to the Barcaldine Renewable Energy Zone (BREZ). The project, which has been in the works for over 5 years, aims to create a circular economy where businesses' waste products can be used as inputs for others, creating a sustainable ecosystem. The BREZ has secured $7 million in funding from the state budget and $1 million from the Barcaldine Regional Council to begin construction of core infrastructure. The project is expected to create 500 direct jobs and attract renewable energy-focused businesses to the area. Title: Controversial short film My Journey, screened at Dark Mofo. A controversial short film has been screened at the Dark Mofo Winter Festival in Hobart. Titled My Journey, the 9-minute film by Aboriginal filmmakers Nathan Maynard and Adam Thompson explores the issue of Aboriginality in Tasmania through a fictional character played by a white actor. The film was pulled from a recent short film festival due to concerns around potential defamation and community harm. However, Dark Mofo's creative director Lee Carmichael provided a platform for Tasmanian Aboriginal voices and said that the film offers important insight into the complex dynamics faced by the contemporary Palawa Pakana community. Vicky started her apprenticeship in a man's world at age 35, and hasn't looked back since. Vicky Yates is defying gender norms by pursuing a career in the male-dominated butcher and small goods industry. With only 6% of the industry made up of women, Vicky began her apprenticeship at the age of 35 and hasn't looked back since. Her move was encouraged by her employer's support and the belief that women can thrive in traditionally male-dominated professions. Stuart Fuller, the general manager of retail at the Australian Meat Industry Council, also emphasised the importance of gender diversity in the industry, calling for a broader range of customers. Title: Australian Diamonds announce 2023 Netball World Cup team. The Australian Diamonds have named their 12-player squad and 3 reserves for the upcoming Netball World Cup in Cape Town. Head coach Stacey Marinkovic has made some daring choices, selecting Collingwood Magpies shooter Sophie Garbin over Queensland Firebirds player Donnell Wallam. Garbin has struggled for form in the Super Netball League but impressed during the Constellation Cup in 2022. Ash Brazil will also travel with the team, providing fans one last chance to see the mid-quarter play before retirement. The Diamonds are looking to win back the trophy from New Zealand after losing it to them 4 years ago. Canberra to receive 126 new police officers in major funding boost. The Australian Capital Territory (ACT) will receive 126 new police officers as part of a $107 million funding boost to ACT policing. The move comes after complaints about the lowest number of police per capita in the country, with a ratio of 205 officers per 100,000 people. The funding, which includes operational equipment, vehicles, body-worn cameras, and an evaluation of police station facilities, will be invested over 5 years. The new officers will be deployed across the capital, especially in growing areas where the population is expected to double by 2028, and will better assure the safety and security of police officers and those in custody. Title: 2023 Logie Award nominees announced, and Sausage Dog World Record set in Melbourne. The nominees for the 2023 Logie Awards have been announced, with fan favourites and new talent making the cut. In other news, Melbourne has set a new world record for the largest gathering of sausage dogs, with over 700 dachshunds and their owners coming together. The event raised money for a local animal shelter. Meanwhile, tensions continue to rise between Russia and its neighboring countries, with concerns over military movements and border security. Stay tuned for updates throughout the day. I have done nothing wrong. Nicola Sturgeon returns home after arrest. Scotland's former First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, has returned home after being arrested last week as part of an ongoing investigation into the finances of the pro-independence Scottish National Party. Sturgeon, her husband, and the party's former treasurer were all arrested and released without charge but remain under investigation. Sturgeon repeated her assertion that she had done nothing wrong and would be attending Parliament early next week. The scandal could benefit the opposition Labour Party in Scotland, which is predicted to be a key battleground in the next UK-wide election. Man arrested over fatal stabbing in northern New South Wales. A 37-year-old man has died after a stabbing at South Tamworth over the weekend. The man is yet to be formally identified. Police say emergency services were called to a unit block on Suzanne Street, in South Tamworth, at about 3:15 p.m. Sunday. Officers say they found a 37-year-old man with a stab wound when they arrived. Following inquiries, detectives attended a home on Cossa Street, South Tamworth, just before 10 p.m. and arrested a 28-year-old man. The man was taken to Tamworth Police Station and is assisting police with their inquiries. A significant number of Canberra students aren't meeting reading benchmarks, report finds. 1 in 3 15-year-olds in the Australian Capital Territory (ACT) falls below the National Proficient Standard for reading, according to a report by Equity Economics. The report has found that literacy levels in the ACT are worse now than they were 20 years ago, and calls for the implementation of evidence-based literacy instruction in all schools. While the ACT Education Directorate says the ACT is the highest performing Australian jurisdiction in reading literacy in PISA, the report highlights that low reading proficiency is an equity issue. Experts are calling for an overhaul of how reading is taught in public schools. Possible attack on Austrian Pride Parade by alleged IS sympathizers foiled by authorities. Austria's domestic intelligence service has arrested 3 suspects, Austrian citizens of Bosnian and Chechen origin, who allegedly planned to attack a pride parade in Vienna attended by around 300,000 people. The suspects had radicalized online and sympathized with the Islamic State group, authorities say. The head of the intelligence service said they may have planned an attack with knives and a car, but there was no danger for the participants of the parade at any time. The organizers of the Pride Parade were only informed about the events after the police raid had already taken place. Title: Exclusive drone photos suggest Russia responsible for Ukrainian dam collapse. Drone footage obtained by the Associated Press appears to show that Russia had the means, motive, and opportunity to destroy the Kakhovka Dam in Ukraine, which collapsed earlier this month while under Russian control. The photos show an explosive-laden car atop the dam, and 2 officials have said that Russian troops were stationed in a crucial area inside the dam where the Ukrainians said the explosion that destroyed it was centered. The dam's collapse led to deadly flooding, endangered crops, and threatened drinking water supplies for thousands. The UN has called on Russia to allow aid to reach those affected. Link. Title: Search for missing man. Rory Lane in Gold Coast hinterland enters 3rd day. A search and rescue operation is underway for 26-year-old Rory Lane, who went missing at Lamington National Park in the Gold Coast hinterland. Lane was last seen walking with a friend on Saturday afternoon. Despite extensive searches conducted by the Queensland Police, State Emergency Services and Queensland Fire and Emergency Services, Lane has not been found. Gold Coast Police Chief Superintendent Craig Hanlon said the search resumed early on Monday and urged anyone with information on Lane's whereabouts to come forward. Lane is described as Caucasian, 175 centimeters tall with brown hair and blue eyes. Title: Man charged with naked assault on prestigious Noosa Street. A 27-year-old man from Gympie has been charged with assaulting a 69-year-old man in Noosa on Sunday. Rio Annan was naked or in various stages of undress when he allegedly attacked the victim on Hastings Street. Annan appeared in the Maroochydore Magistrates Court and was charged with 1 count of assault. The police are urging anyone who saw a naked man in the area between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m. on the day of the assault to come forward with any information. The case has been adjourned to next month. Senate passes referendum plan, cementing voice vote before end of the year. The Australian Senate has voted in favour of holding a referendum on the Indigenous Voice to Parliament legislation. This advisory body will allow the government and Parliament to receive guidance from Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Australians on policies that affect their lives. The referendum will be the first in over 20 years, with Prime Minister Anthony Albanese being required to set the referendum date, which must be between 2 and 6 months from now. The referendum is expected to take place in October and will be the first since the Republic referendum in 1999. Young New South Wales Rugby League player dies after on-field tackle. A young rugby league player from the New South Wales Hunter Valley has died after a tackle during a game at Port Stephens on the weekend. The Aberglasslyn Ants player was airlifted to John Hunter Hospital in a critical condition on Saturday but passed away on Sunday afternoon. The New South Wales Rugby League expressed its deepest sympathy to the player's family and will ensure they have the support they need. The Aberglasslyn Ants have retired the player's number 8 jersey for the remainder of the season. The tragic incident highlights the importance of player safety in contact sports.